Hey everybody, it's Andrew Brown, and welcome back to the AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp. I left it to Bako to go figure it out, and he was able to solve it pretty quickly with a rule change. Now, what I don't understand is why it didn't work for me, because we opened up those rules quite a bit. But what we did is I went back to parameter store. So remember, we went to Systems Manager there. And so what I did is I went back there. I'll just show you wherever parameter store is. If I can find it here. Systems Manager. I'm just going to show you what I undid, at least from this part here. So we went here to parameter store, and in our connection URL, it's showing the wrong region. And if you're noticing, I'm actually logged in as the root account. You're not supposed to use your root account, but I'm having so much trouble with my two-factor authentication. It's just not synced, and I've reset it 3-4 times, and I'm just getting frustrated. So I went in the root account. So I do believe in two-factor authentication, but sometimes I'm just fed up with it because it has problems for whatever reason, and I'm just not going to put up with it. So anyway, in the connection URL, what I did was I went back here and I changed it back to our new one. So just make sure that this one is whatever the new one is. I know this is my new one because it's called Crutter Instance. My old one was called Crutter DB Instance. Okay, so that is something that you will need to do because that's something I temporarily changed. For our security groups, I ended up removing those two rules. So we made one that was open to everywhere in the service one, and then there was one that was open to everywhere in the database. And so those two rules have been removed. And so we're back to basically how it was previously. But I can go over to ECS or actually over to ALB, and let's go see if Bako has that service running. We're going to try it again to see if we can get it to work, but if it doesn't, we'll find out. But if we go over to our target group here, and we go into the back end, and we go to health checks, targets, we have a healthy target, okay? So that's been changed. The thing that Bako said that he had to change was in the ECS container. So let's make our way over to ECS. Well, the security group for it, sorry. So we'll go over here, and we'll go into the cluster, and we'll go into the backend service. We'll go into the configuration and tasks. Network tab. And then from here, we can get to the security group. And we'll just take a look at how the security group rules have changed. So if we go here, we can edit the inbound rules, and notice it's on 4567. So I had it on port 80. My confusion was that when you have the load balancer, right, we have it listening on port 80 and 443. And so port 80 redirects to 443, which is the secure protocol. And then when it gets to the listener, it terminates SSL. Terminates means that it's no longer using the certificate. It goes back to port 80. So it was my understanding that it would be intelligent enough when it goes to the target group to map port 80 to 4567, and I was wrong. Now, the thing is that the health check defaults to port 80 or defaults to the target group, so we don't set it as 4567, and so I always assumed that was port 80, but the point is that this is supposed to be 4567. So have what you will, but that's what he had to set. But this is where we talk about the architectural diagram, where it really matters if we can spell out those things, because these are the things that I want to see in the physical diagram because they're very easy to forget. And so if you can bake those into a visual permanently, then we won't have that issue anymore. Because clearly I've made this work before, but I couldn't remember what those key components that were important to set. The other thing I want to check here is I want to just go back over to the target group there. And in the target group here, I just want to take a look at, if we go into the back end here, I just want to take a look at the health check and notice that it's set to 4567. So Bako's explicitly set it to that. We don't necessarily have to do it. If we go here and set it to traffic port, it should be intelligent enough to do it, but he did the override to 4567. Notice it's defaulting back to port 80, but let's just double check and make sure that is the case here. So go here and we'll say edit. And if we go here, it's set to 4567. Okay, now I don't know if he updated that in the CloudFormation templates, but I told him, don't just fix it for me, but update the CloudFormation templates and make sure it works that way, because I was having a heck of a time to figuring it out. So here, I'm just going to refresh here, and let's just take a look at what Bako has changed. And so I know it was in week 10 again. So go here, and I don't necessarily see it push. So I'll be back in a second, okay? All right, so that CFN code wasn't pushed by Baco, and so I can't really get him to do that right now. So I guess I'll have to try. I just hope that it works. I really wanted him to push it so that there's no chance of any mistake here. But I guess I will just go and update the template because we can see that's 4567 and the other one's 4567. So hopefully it's that and there's nothing else. But the thing is that if he had changed it to something else, I don't know what it is, right? I just know of those two things. And we already had that before and I still don't know what it is. So I'm going to go over here into the cluster and I'm going to do my best to figure this out. The other thing that I need to do is go into, yeah, actually it's all in the cluster because that's where the load balancer is. So we'll go into here. And we'll go down to our security group. Here, where is it? We have our listener. We want our target group. It's our target group that we want. Well, we need this. And so this is supposed to be set to port 4567. So there's the from port and to port. I think it's supposed to be the same for both of them. I don't know when you'd ever change these to be different from port and to port. I don't know. Good question. Probably something I should ask Duan if I get a chance to talk to him again about networking here. But so that will be 4567. So I think that's what it's supposed to be set as. The other part to this is the health check, because I saw that the health check was explicitly set to 4567 as well. And so I think that that's something that we should override just so that it's explicitly set. And so here we see front end port. Backend port. What is the backend port? Is it going to be 4567? If it's already set to that, then we're in good shape. It already is. So what we can do is we can go back to the service here. We'll just say backend port, ref backend port. And so supposedly this is all we had to do to make it work. Now, maybe it was both the health check. Maybe the health check had to be 4567 and that port had to be 4567 because I didn't do both on those. And that could have been the issue that we were having. So that's what it appears to be. And so what we'll do to make sure this works, I'm going to go over to CloudFormation. I'm going to go tear down the running version that Baco had set up there. And we'll go ahead and delete that. And so fingers crossed that this is going to work. The first thing that we need to do is we need to go to our bin directory, and we're going to need to do, just close that out there. We're going to need to do bin, well, we got to go up a directory first, but this is going to be bin CFN deploy cluster deploy. And so we'll deploy that. And we'll go into this one here. Okay. I'm not sure why I'm not sure why this is not opening anymore. I mean, let me just refresh that there. Usually you click in and it opens. There we go. It was just acting a bit funny there. But we'll go here and see if this one updates. So did we do this just now? I mean, it looks like we did, yeah. Okay, so I believe that those are updated now. And so now what we can do is go ahead and attempt to deploy the service. Fingers crossed that this works. Now, that doesn't mean the application's working because our application has to get our data loaded, because remember that we created a new database. And by the way, I have two databases running. If you need to worry about spend, you can always turn off the other one or shut it down. I'm not always calling this stuff out, so just be aware of that because you don't have that many credits for RDS, okay? Calling change set occurred, delete in progress. So it's still deleting the old one, I suppose. So we'll go back over to our stacks. I thought it was done. So I guess we'll have to wait for the old one to finish and then we can deploy the new one. So I'll see you back here in a bit. Ciao. All right, so that one deleted from prior. What we'll do is go hit up and we will attempt to deploy it again. And hopefully this is just going to work. I'll be really pumped if it just does. We'll make our way over here. Remember that we have to look out for those change sets. The reason we do that is so we can constantly review and make sure we know what we are deploying. We'll go ahead and hit execute change set and we'll let that go. And so I'm going to go back over here, give this a refresh. And so we're going to wait and see if this goes into, if it'll actually create it and get healthy, or if maybe just, updates. One of the things is that grace period, I did turn that back down to 0 in the code. So that was set because I wasn't sure if that was a factor that mattered. So somewhere, I think it's in the service template here, there was like grace period. Grace period. Here, I put it back to 0, which is its default value because I don't think we need it. But anyway, so I'll wait here for a while, or if I don't see it going, I'll check if there's any failed checks. Of course, you can go over to ECS and just go and see when they fail. So that's another good way to be sure that it is doing what we think it's doing. But we'll go over here. And so we're just waiting to see if this fails or not. But I'll be back here with the results, okay? All right, so it says 1 completed, but what does the load balancer say? Because if the load balancer does not agree, then we are not going to be in good shape here. Let's make our way over to EC2. We'll go down below here, and we'll go over here. We'll go into our target groups. We'll take a look here, and what we'll see in the health check, in the target, it's healthy, great. Now, that doesn't mean our application works because, again, we started up that other database. I'm going to go tear down the old one because I don't need it anymore. We could take a snapshot and load that data into the other one. I don't really want to do that. I'd just rather start from scratch. So that is what I plan to do. So we'll go here. And the old one is the CrudderDB instance. I'm going to go, I don't know if it's modify. We'll go back here. I was too quick on the click there. We'll click here and we'll go ahead and delete it. It might have termination protection on. Apparently it doesn't, so that is fine by me. The new one will absolutely have termination protection. And we'll go ahead and let that delete. Now, if we want to test that application, we can go to the endpoint. And I suppose we can go ahead and do that. So we go app.crudder.com /API health checks. API, sorry. Check if there's a typo for API.crudder.com. There isn't, but I have this problem with Chrome. I mean, it's not a problem. It'll happen to anybody, but sometimes it's not intelligent enough to know when something's changed. But anyway, it should be working. At least the health check should work. Unless I'm typing it wrong. Okay. So I guess what we'll do is go back and take a look at why I can't reach it from the outside. Maybe it's our load balancer. I don't know. And so we'll go over to EC2. That's the only other thing I want to see is just the health check pass, not necessarily the endpoint because we haven't loaded the data in there. But we'll go down to our, you know what it is? It's because we provisioned a new load balancer and our Rough-D3 is not pointing to it. That's why. Okay. Now, is there some way that we could attach it after deploying? Probably. We could create a bash script. I think we got enough bash scripts. I'm sure you're sick of them, so I'm just going to go ahead and manually do this. And of course, I am my root account. I'll make sure I'm in the correct one. And there's Harlan's website. This is a website that Baco generated for my my sister's brother-in-law because he cuts lawns. It was generated with ChatGPT. It shouldn't be in this account. I don't know why it's in this account, but if you're looking for some lawn work and you're in the area, well, there you go. Anyway, we'll go into crudder.com. Maybe that could be like a beginner boot camp. We'll help Harlan get a better website for cutting lawns. Anyway, so down below here, we'll go to our API. Notice that this is pointing to a load balancer, but that load balancer doesn't exist anymore. So we'll go to this one here and we'll hit save. And so that will fix that issue. The Crudder main one also needs to point there. So we'll update this one while we're over here. And we'll point that over to here as well. And we'll go ahead and save that. So now it'd be really nice if we could use app mesh to give ALB like a permanent name, but I don't know if you could actually do that. Anyway, what we'll do here now is we'll go back and check, because now it should be pointing to the correct location. It's still saying it can't access it. I'm going to go check over here. If that's happening, I just don't trust it. So what I'm going to do is do a curl over here, or sorry, a ping. We'll say api.crutter.com. We'll see if we get an API back. Notice that the ping is, that doesn't look right. Let's try Google as an example. We should be getting data back. Yeah, so see, those are pinging. We go to apicrutter.com. Of course, it's whatever your domain is. And that's not returning what I'm expecting to return. So that's kind of interesting. So, yeah, I mean, that should just work. Also, did we do, maybe HTTPS is what we need to do? HTTPS, ://. What if we do wget? We could also wget on the API health check here. No response. Interesting. Okay. Well, now we have a different problem on our hands. What it is, I don't know. Let's go over and check ECS. Well, I mean, the health check must be working because the load balancer got it to work and the other one got it to work. So all I can think of is like the ALB doesn't have that. Like it's either not actually pointing where we think it's pointing to. We'll refresh this. And I'm just going to double check that these are going where I'm expecting them to go. So this one is going to this one here. It didn't update to the new one. It's still the old one. Save. Okay. Well, I mean, that would explain why it's not working. Edit. Save. Okay. Refresh. Hard refresh. Double, triple check, people. It's always the case. We'll edit this one. Maybe that's the same thing. Well, the reason I'm confused is because one is uppercase and this one isn't. Maybe it's not case sensitive. It doesn't matter. Let's go over and check the load balancer. We'll go here. And so this one is Crutter, cluster, ALB, etc. Domains can be case sensitive. Now, I don't know if subdomains are, but everything after the / could be case sensitive. So it is odd that it is downcasing it, but I would suspect that AWS is like, no, but like they wouldn't have it not work because of that reason. What we could do is copy this and just try it manually here. But it probably wouldn't work because of the ACM certificate. But we can try it anyway. So I'll go up here. I'll do API health check. And that's okay. We'll advance. Advance. 503 service temporarily unavailable. So I wasn't really expecting that to happen. But again, I don't know if there's other issues here. So we'll go over to ECS. And we'll go into the application here. We'll go into the service. We'll go into the logs. And we'll see what we get. So we're getting 200s for these pages here. So they're clearly passing. This is a 503, which something else that we're getting here. So interesting. Let's go back to our load balancer. Let's go take a look at the what do you call it? The load balancer. The load balancer, but the security group for it. So we'll go here and we'll just take a look at that security group. And we'll go down here. Edit inbound rules. So this looks correct to me. There's nothing fancy here. It's open to everywhere on both of these ports, so that shouldn't be the issue. What about outbound? Edit the outbound rules. This is to everywhere, so that should work as well. Let's make sure that this security group is set for the other one. We'll go back to security groups. The other one here is the service up here. So we still have this old one here. I'm going to delete that one so it's less confusing. This one's also old, so I'm going to delete that one as well, so I'm less confused about this one here. Refresh. Great. And so, yeah, now we only have 3. I mean, this one says ALBSG, but it's not named that anymore. I did update it, so it shouldn't be called that anymore. But it would require, this is actually the database. No, sorry, this is the cluster. Yeah, this one, it says ALB and it's not. But what we'll do is we'll go take a look at the service one here. Inbound rules. And so I'm just going to paste this in here. So it's there, and it's 4567, so it should be working. Right? Huh. Interesting. 503, interesting. Go back over here. We can try this again. All right. So another thing we can do is we could try to shell into this. This is such a headache. I just wish it just worked. And so in here, I know we can connect via this. And so we do need the task ID to pass in. So we'll go back over to here. Elastic Container Service. And I need to get that task ID. So I'll grab that. That gets the whole ARN. I just actually want this part. And we'll go back over here and we'll do bin. Backend. Connect. And we'll paste that in there. Execution command operation cluster not found. It's possible that the name of the cluster is different here. Yeah, it is. It's Crutter cluster. So I'll fix that issue there. Maybe it's not called that. It's called Crutter cluster Fargate. Okay, so we'll go here and replace it with this. Okay, and we will try again to connect. And we are in, so what we can do here is just do, I know we have wget in here, but we can try and say localhost 4567 API health check. Okay, so wget's not installed, so we'll try curl instead. Curl command's not found. Okay, well, one of these commands have to work. How did we do it before? I guess what we did is we might have used BusyBox to do it. How did we debug this before? I remember we went in here and we checked. Let me think about it for a second, okay? I don't know, maybe we'll let us just install it. Let's just try sudo